It's 7 p.m. I call to order this meeting of the Middlebury Development Review Board for November 13th, 2017. First thing I'll go over briefly are the four agenda items, business items. An application by Rolliston Properties for hearing to amend 8/28/17 approval for a subdivision. An application by Charles Roy for conditional use approval for the development of a one-family dwelling in a two-lot subdivision on Blake Roy Road in the Forest District. Number 3 is an application by Fisher Auto Parts Incorporated for conditional use approval for a change of use for 1232 Exchange Street. And the 4th is an application by Tony Neary for sketch plan review for proposed resumption use of a grocery store at former Greg's Market. Are there any items the public would like to communicate to us that is not on the agenda tonight? Hearing none. Approval of DRB minutes for 10/23/17. Now, I didn't get those. Did everybody else get them?
I have them, and I have
Okay.
some.
Did we get them the week before?
No, we got them on
I didn't have them in
Tuesday
mind.
and in the packet.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right, well, okay, Ann, you want to go ahead?
Yes, I was wondering whether we should move into the 21st century and put disabled instead of handicap on line 64 and 77. And then on line 58, Tony presented the application.
What line was that, Ann? I'm sorry.
Tony on line 58.
Okay, thank you.
And then disabled belongs on 64 and 77. And then I wondered about clarification of the sentence beginning on line 84. Parking would be reserved for deliveries and freight. Actually, I think parking was only to be reserved for deliveries and freight for part of the day, and the rest of the day Mr. Neary wanted the full stretch to be available for cars, unless I'm remembering incorrectly.
I think the sign's still on the wall there. It was until a couple of days ago.
Right, with hours on it.
7 o'clock to 10:30 or something like that.
Right, but to say that parking will be reserved for deliveries and freight is incorrect, because
Yes.
that's not what he said.
That's right.
And those are the only
Okay,
points I have.
So,
Apart from the fact that I also didn't say I wouldn't be available on line 144.
okay, going back to that, to 84, what should that read then? To include?
84, maybe parking would be reserved for deliveries and freight during a portion of the day and be available for customer parking for the balance of the day, something
Yeah,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah. Okay, right. Anybody else? All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes? Signify by saying yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay. Who,
No, we didn't have a
Who made the
motion.
motion, Dave?
Abstention. No, I was an abstention.
Okay.
I don't think we had a
Did we
motion,
not make a motion? I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
and I'll second it
Okay, that's correct.
as corrected.
Okay, first item on the business agenda. An application by Rollison Properties for a hearing to amend 8/28/17 approval for a subdivision to clarify that the approval is for a 3-lot subdivision and boundary line adjustment. The property is on Foot Street, parcel ID 08160, and is located in the Protected Highway District. Okay, are we taking testimony on this tonight, or do we need testimony on it tonight, or is this just a,
That's up to you guys. The changes to this plat, include,
okay, there's other changes than just
Yeah,
correcting the, okay.
yeah, it might be good for the applicant to present the changes
Okay,
from last
all right.
time.
Duncan, would you like to?
Yeah.
Okay, so the following is the DRB oath for applicants, interested persons, and those wishing to participate in this hearing. Do you affirm that the evidence and information you are giving in this proceeding is true and accurate, to the best of your knowledge and belief? Please signify by raising your hand. Okay. At this time, I would ask the members of the board if any member has a conflict of interest regarding this application. Also, at this time, does any member wish to disclose any ex parte conversations concerning this case? Hearing none? Go ahead, Duncan.
This is obviously the third time I've been in front of you. I think the reasoning for clarifying the 2 to a 3-lot subdivision with a boundary line, or I think what necessitates that is that my initial meeting here or hearing was with a sketch plan that showed a 2-lot subdivision and a boundary line adjustment, but subsequent meetings or hearings and working with you all and trying to put sort of a master plan of sorts together, this turned into 3 lots with a boundary line adjustment. So I think the last site plan you saw was a 3-lot with a boundary line adjustment. We have since removed, there was a 10-foot wide swath or strip of land we were trying to sort of dedicate for potential future use for a sidewalk, possibly public works of sorts, but that sort of encroaches on a buffer that we were also trying to leave on Foot Street. And I think there were, just other, sort of extenuating circumstances to pull that out. So you won't see that there anymore.
Okay.
We have also included an easement that wasn't there before for the stormwater runoff for Lot 1, where the proposed Tractor Supply would go. You'll sort of see on page 2 here, I think is it that bottom one, Jen? Bottom left?
Proposed stormwater easement in favor of lot 1.
Yep.
So here's the edge of your Tractor Supply lot here.
Yep. And you'll see that on the larger site plan, but that's just a zoomed in version. We've also added an easement to Lot 2. I think we talked about it after the last hearing, but it wasn't on the site plan. So you'll see an easement across the Knopp Metals property to the power line, and then back to Lot 2 for sewer, water, and potentially power as needed. And I think Jen had that one up a second ago as well. Stormwater requirements for the right-of-way. The proposed right-of-way that comes in north of Lot 1 will require stormwater, so there's a stormwater easement onto Lot 3. There was also an extension of an existing easement on what I refer to as the Knopp parcel. That's the boundary line adjustment that extends to the northeast. So that existing easement has been extended, and then also an easement from Knopp's onto an adjoining property, Magic Walk, for stormwater for the Knopp Metalworks property. We've also removed the setbacks from this to help better define the approximate building locations. I think the proposed building envelope for Lot 1 is pretty well set in stone as far as that proposal has obviously come through this board with a little more meat on it. Lot 2 and 3, those are approximations of where I expect they could be, but if There was a time where there was someone who was interested in designing or building there. My hope would be that I could come back to this DRB or a DRB of some form and make some amendment if need be. But that's where the proposed approximate building lot is at this point. Or building envelope, rather. I think that those are all the changes that we've seen, and some of those were changes, I think, or refinements that when we left the last hearing, we said I would include in the final site plan. But since we're clarifying a 2-lot to 3-lot, I thought it was appropriate to kind of define those now as well.
Thank you. Now, the drainage, the drainage from the Tractor Supply lot goes where now? Does it go to the south of the A&W?
To the existing wetland, so that comes around to the north of the wetland, to the north of A&W still.
Okay, and then it goes wherever the rest of that property drained, okay.
Yep.
Any questions from the board this time?
So in each case, is the easement conveyed to the favor of the lot that the stormwater is serving? Or is it conveyed to who gets the easement?
For which one are you?
So the stormwater easements, I just don't know much about them.
So they would be conveyed to, so in the instance for the right-of-way, the easement that is on Lot 3 would be conveyed to me being the owner of the right-of-way. For the easement that's on the Magic Walk, that would be conveyed to me being the property owner of Knops.
Right.
The easement on Lot 3 would be conveyed to Lot 1
Okay,
for
I
the stormwater.
misunderstood one of the ownership. Got it.
Does that, yeah? Okay.
I think so.
Did we previously do refresh my memory, did we previously do a boundary line adjustment for the Knobs property to bump that back?
We did talk about that at the last meeting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We took care of that?
You discussed it.
Okay.
Yep, and it would be part of this approval.
But it has always been a part of
Yeah.
this sort of,
Part
this
of the plan.
ongoing application to do it all at once, not separately.
Any other questions from the board at this time? Staff have anything to contribute? Okay. Any comments from the public at this time? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I move that the Middlebury Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearings of July 10, 2017, August 28, 2017, and November 13, 2017, approve this request for a 3-lot subdivision and boundary adjustment for parcel 8-160 located on Foot Street, north of Route 7, with a condition that the final plan will be approved and signed by the DRB chair.
Is there a second to the motion? Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the business agenda is an application by Charles Roy for conditional use approval for the development of a one-family dwelling on 15.7 acre parcel of land pursuant to section 742. In addition, the Roy final 2-lot subdivision review is continued from October 23rd, 2017. The property is located at 651 Blake Roy Road, parcel 11-034 in the Forest zoning district. Okay. Would like to come forward?
I watched the video from 9/11, so I'm up to date.
Okay. I'll administer the oath. Do you affirm that the evidence and information you are giving in this proceeding is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief? Please signify by raising your hand.
Yes.
Okay. Any conflicts from the board or ex parte communications? Okay, go ahead.
Hi there. I'm here from the last meeting where I want to subdivide the land. You can see the red lines there. That's going to be the boundary of the property, and that is located out in the town of Middlebury. And there's going to be a right-of-way that comes out on the road in Middle Road in Salisbury, and I got a preliminary approval for boundary line adjustment from them to bring the line right down to the river. And then I've also have a copy of a warranty deed that's gonna be about what we're gonna be submitting in, that will show a right-of-way through the town of Salisbury, through part of Middlebury into this lot.
Okay.
And Dave, did you get a copy of this from my
Did, and
lawyer?
I've given it to the board.
Okay.
There's plenty of copies here.
So basically, that's in a nutshell. I'm looking to sell the forestry land to Goodrich Farm. Devin Dwyer would like to buy this property here, build a home there, do a little bit of farming, and we'll have a right-of-way that comes in from the town of Salisbury.
Okay. Questions from the board?
I have a question about the deed.
Okay,
You might want to ask your attorney about this. On page 4 of your deed, you're referencing minutes of the Middlebury Planning Commission tonight. I think you mean the Development Review Board.
Okay.
That would be correct, right, Jen?
And this is hold reference.
thank you, Ann.
I think it's just,
Any other questions from the board? The preliminary approval from Salisbury,
Yes.
is that, do you have another meeting with them for a final approval, or is that?
No, there's no meeting. It's one that, it's a, I guess, what do you call it, a business or whatever? The town,
Administrative?
yeah, it's administrative.
Okay, all right, okay.
I guess I came at it this way, folks. Charlie owns everything to Middle Road there. There's no reason why he can't convey himself or an easement or a right-of-way to access that lot.
Right,
And that's why I suggested to him going, irregardless if the boundary adjustment doesn't go through, he still can convey to himself, he owns it,
yeah,
the easement for that
Right.
access.
okay.
So he may very well need an upgraded access permit from the town of Salisbury for the home, just at the access of the road. You'll need an improvement probably there, but I don't think you should need anything else.
All right. Anything else from staff? Are there any comments from the public at this time? Hearing none? Would someone like to make a motion?
Already made one.
Okay. I move that the Middlebury Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearings of October 23rd, 2017 and November 13th, 2017, approve this request for final subdivision approval to create a two-lot subdivision of parcel 11034 and approve the conditional use request to develop a one-family home in the forestry district as proposed on Lot 1 of the plat titled Lands of Roy, prepared by Barnard and Gervais LLC, subject to a permanent deeded right-of-way easement for access to proposed Lot 1 and balance of Lot 2 located in the town of Middlebury.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Third item on the business agenda, an application by Fisher Auto Parts Incorporated for conditional use approval for change of use. The applicant proposes to use the former Whirly World indoor recreation facility for use as a retail auto parts store. The property is located at 1232 Exchange Street, parcel 4027010. Would you like to come forward and introduce yourself? After I give you the oath. You affirm that the evidence and information you are giving in this proceeding is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief, signified by raising your hand. Okay. Go ahead.
My name's Adam Metzler. I'm from Fisher Auto Parts. We're here before the board. Hopefully, we want to change the zoning from indoor recreational use to retail. We're an auto parts store chain. We have a retail section in our store. We service wholesale customers out of there.
Okay, you're not proposing any new construction at this time
No, we're not.
at this site?
No.
No extension of the parking lot?
No.
Okay. Any exterior building changes?
No.
Well, there is, replacing a door.
I'm we're replacing the front door with a glass door. And we're exposing a garage door to use to bring in freight to the store.
One of the doors that was walled off is gonna go
Yeah.
back to an overhead.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, outdoor lighting, any change to what is there now?
Not at this time.
Okay, do we know whether that meets our lighting regulations at this time?
We do not.
Okay.
What, the lighting over the front door, the lighting over the door, which is going to become a glass door? I don't think that meets our,
I don't know if it's
Requirements.
down shielded enough
it isn't.
and
Oh,
that,
because
what
it
I'm
goes out?
yeah, I don't
Those
know
would-
how far it extends out into the
Right.
parking lot, I don't know. I don't think, and maybe Max could address that, but whether there's actually parking lot lights there as well.
No, just the
If
ones in the
I think
building.
you and Ann are talking about different fixtures. Are you talking about the fixtures up under the eave, which are shielded? Well, at least one of them is downward directed. Ann's talking about the floods. It's a pair of spots that it's pointed
The-
up in
Yeah,
the
the
picture.
floodlights over the door.
In Exhibit C, that one's clearly not compliant with, or
There are lights also on other sides of the building, but those appear to be shielded. That they're more in line with the light fixtures I've seen presented here before than the ones on the west side.
Okay. So it would be helpful if the lights that are not conforming
Okay.
to our regulations
Okay.
would be changed so that they do.
All right, can I do that?
um, Other questions from the board?
That's permitted use?
Conditional.
condition.
what are hours of business going to be as they are at the current location?
They should be 7:30 to 5.
To 5.
Yeah, and then Saturdays, usually 8 to 1 is what our time is. And nothing on Sunday.
What was that about Saturday? I missed that.
8 to 1 on Sunday, or Saturday, sorry.
Okay, 8 to 1.
Nothing on Sunday.
I think
I have to say, with regard to the lighting, I think several of the fixtures are marginal, but to me, the wall fixtures, even if they're not shielded on top, are less important because they're tucked up to the
Right.
eave. So they are in fact shielded from above.
Exactly.
It's really one fixture in what I saw that is, the problem, and that's the twin spot floodlights. Those are things you could never pull an Act 250 permit with, and they're not compliant. Yeah, which I think, I wonder if, when you put a nice glass door in there, you're gonna want something better anyway.
When I looked at the parking spaces, you had over 20 at the moment. I'm assuming you'll lose a few of those because of reopening the garage door and maybe having some clearance by the entrance door, but there'll still be over 15 left, even if you take 3 or 4 away there.
Yes.
Anything else from the board at this time? Are there any comments from the public at this time? Yes. If you could indicate your name and speak up so that our mics can pick you up on the video.
My name is Peter Neff. I'm better known in the town as Nerf. I'm the former tenant of Worley's World and the owner, which I rented from Max Eaton. And no pun intended, but I might be able to shed a little light on the lighting system. There are halogen lights on the Desiree Laundry side that are like this, that point down. On the south side of the building, there are 2 more halogen or LED lights that point down. There's 1 light on the parking lot side, which is an old halogen light, which at some point should be replaced. On either side of the one that's working, there are 2 others that are non-functional. And the light that's over the door is a dual spotlight that points up like this because we had a dome cover over the front door. So that lighted that dome cover. So,
That's right.
Okay,
so that,
thank you.
yeah.
Any other comments from the public? Hearing none?
Oh, I'm sorry, and one other, I just noticed the picture of the building up there. On the Exchange Street side, over here, there are 3 down-pointing lights that illuminated a sign for our business, so customers could see where we were located. And that's on this, there's 3 of them, I
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any more comments from the board at this time? If not, is there a motion?
I move that the Middlebury Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of November 13th, 2017, approve this request for the change of use from indoor recreation to retail as proposed by Fisher Auto Parts, Inc., to be located on parcel number 04:027.010, building number 3 at 1232 Exchange Street, subject to upgrade of the front door light fixture as discussed at the meeting.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Moved in second. Discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, guys.
That was a hardly worth the trip.
That was a long way down.
Fourth item on the business agenda, an application by Tony Neary for sketch plan review of a proposal for resumption of use of a retail grocery store at the former Greg's Market. The property is located at 3 Elm Street and 30 McIntyre Lane, parcel ID 24199 and parcel 24201. This is a continuation from the October 23rd, 2017.
Chair, I was not able to view the video. I'm gonna listen and not say anything.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are you an interested party in this application?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, all right,
I'm just a person who resides in that neighborhood.
okay, all right. Has everybody has read the information that Jen sent us about our concerns in our list? Is there a comment on that list?
I have one question.
Okay,
On key concerns number 3, when it says the new building, I wasn't sure to what that referred. Does it mean the
thank
new
you.
construction by the front, the new construction of the front door lobby? Is that,
Nope, I should clarify that. It's that new structure to replace Pool World that shows on the site plan in the rear of the
yeah, that's what I assumed.
lot, so.
perhaps, can we just clarify that a little, so that,
The new Pool World replacement building, is that too awkward?
to replace Pool World?
Mm-hmm. The new
No.
building to replace Pool
Right.
World? Yep.
The Pool World building that you wanted.
This is the new one.
Well, he's going to move the building, so
He may move it, or he may demolish and
move it or
rebuild
demolish it and come back to ask to build something new.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
I wasn't clear.
I'm gonna open this up for the public just for a question.
Sure.
Have you seen this, probably haven't seen this summary?
I'm not sure.
Okay, would you like a copy of it?
Doing great, thank you.
Isn't that going to be our decision, though? We make the decision and we don't usually open our
Okay,
decision.
well, it was just to ask her if she had seen a I don't know, we may open it, well, it's open now.
We haven't closed it, have we?
It's a reconvening of the hearing.
You went into deliberative session, then you came back out. And so
Yes.
now you have the choice whether to discuss this letter in open session or to go back into deliberative session.
Okay,
This is
all right.
it's nothing more than a draft of what I thought I heard you say last time.
Yeah, this is,
I think it's remarkably
yeah, I think
inclusive.
it's what we thought. What was
But I
been
mean, we
open.
don't want to give people documents to take home with them that aren't finalized. But, you know, if you want to just give it to people to look over here, I guess.
Okay.
Has Tony responded at all?
He hasn't seen it. This would be
Oh, he hasn't
our
seen it.
decision.
Yeah, this is very draft. So,
Okay, okay.
We didn't make a decision last time, and we wanted that decision to be worked out based on what we discussed. And that's what Jen's done, and now we have to decide if we,
but honestly, I thought
like it.
I thought you were going to go back into deliberation again. and
Well,
just
okay, well, that's.
Finish your discussion. from
Maybe
last
that's
time.
maybe that's what I should ask the board. Do we want to go into deliberative session to discuss this?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Do you want to take any public comment first?
We can. She's here.
If,
I'm totally being bossy, and I
yeah, well-
apologize.
I guess we should.
I figure if she came and like had something that she wants you guys
Yeah.
to know, this is a great time for her to share it. Not to talk about you in the third person. What's your name?
My name is Pam Pizzolo, and I live on Seymour Street, and I have to just say that there is not a day that has gone by that I have not missed that store. And I hear from a lot of people in town how much they really miss that store. And I know that there are opportunities when something has changed to put a lot of input in it, and this is a time to make some adjustments, but some of the concerns, I mean, I think that it worked pretty well. I don't see an enormous, I mean, I go by this place all the time, every day, and at different times of the day, and I don't see that there's been such an amazing amount of increase in traffic. And I do understand the concerns. I know that they've talked about how they can't unload trucks except within the parking area, not on the Exchange Street site anymore. understand that has been a change that can't happen anymore. But I also just have to tell you that it is a neighborhood store. I think that Mr. Neary, although I don't really know him at all, he wants to maintain that sort of neighborhood store, and I think it is sorely needed in this town. I just want to share one thing very quickly. Several years ago, I think it was 2007, I was hit in the crosswalk here in Middlebury, and I got hurt. And I had a series of problems over the next year, and physically I was really in bad shape. However, I did not have a handicap sticker. But I could actually, with crutches and all sorts of other stuff, go in and out of that store and actually do my week's grocery shopping. I mean, it was that convenient, and I was able to park right in front there, and I really liked that. It just really was something really good. I understand that there's some concerns with that, with traffic and everything. I think there are more concerns about traffic coming from where Redemption Center is, that area, you know, in the pizza place. There's more cars that pull out from that than I've ever have seen, you know, with dangerous things that I can see, that people are screeching their brakes and whatever, than I ever saw coming out from in front. And I mean, occasionally there might have been some things, but you know, I've talked to a lot of people, and I just hope that you don't put so many stumbling blocks and so many changes and so many other things in this so that it's not possible. That's my only comment. I'm just sort of really wanting that store to exist again. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. So there's a motion.
Thank you.
There's a motion to go into
Can you
deliberative
sign that,
session.
please, Pam? Right there, that,
Was it
right
second? Did we
over
have a
on
second?
that little table,
Sign-in
please.
sheet,
think
everything's
you
on
did.
correspondence.
Thank you.
Did you
And-
second that?
And did you second the deliberative session?
I did.
Okay, Scott. Okay.
Did you get the motion on
Is there any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 0. Okay, Kathy, we're going into deliberative session.
Okay.
Okay, we are coming out of deliberative session for the Tony Neary application. And is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that the Middlebury Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted by Mr. Neary, and following discussion and public input on October 23rd, 2017 and November 13th, 2017, express its desire that a grocery store be reopened on the site of the former Greg's Market, subject to various conditions expressed in the preliminary determination prepared by staff, discussed by the board, such preliminary determination to be signed by the chair of the Development Review Board.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Is there discussion on the motion?
I wonder if we should put the Pool World in there also, Greg's Market, Pool World building, or, because I think Tony's thinking of redoing Greg's Market. But what we're saying is, we would like a market there. It can go anywhere on that property, as long as, and it could go back, and the parking could be in front. I mean, if he did away with Pool World, he could rebuild it, he could build another building there.
So have the motion be on that
Site,
site
yeah.
where Greg's Market was
Does
operating.
that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And that way, we're not encouraging him to, he's encouraged to not revamp the building there, but he could, he could redo the building.
Or move it altogether.
Well, I think it'd be hard to
Yeah, you could,
move Greg's, but the pool world could be moved somewhere,
or removed.
or removed,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should I try again?
I mean, how's everybody else feel about that? It kind of,
Well,
it kind
I
of puts
like-
some
I like-
distance between,
I like Ann's motion, can we?
I like her motion.
Yeah, that was just a friendly amendment to change it from the building to the site, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, is that agreeable?
That's a good-
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Anything else on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? 1. Motion is carried. Other business.
I do have one thing for you. So, the final, possibly the final select board hearing on the town plan is coming up on the 27th? It's a Tuesday.
28.
Thank you. I should know, my birthday's the 29th. Apparently, I haven't checked it out. So, you know, if you have any comments for the town plan, that's the time to get them in. I didn't know if you felt like you wanted me to do a little presentation for you about the changes to the town plan. It's just
We can read it.
it's an update. It's not a big rewrite. No changes to the map.
One question.
Mm-hmm.
I thought in the past, if a business went out because of whatever reason, and it was in a non-conforming area, that they had longer than a year. I think back to your gas station. How long did that go out? I thought that was like a 5-year deal before.
I don't remember. It was used, they,
They turned it on and ran it for a few days
Right.
every year.
correct.
Because all I'm thinking is if, God forbid, we go into another downturn like what we had in 2008, 9, 10, and let's say a sizable business that's in a non-conforming point goes out of business, and the climate is such that no one's going to come in and buy it, no one's going to do anything with that property, but 3 years later, the economy's rebounded, and somebody wants to come back in, but we've got it basically dead. We've killed it. And I just have, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but I think we're, down the road, we're gonna have another recession again, we're gonna have another downturn.
Mm-hmm.
And I just worry about some of the businesses in this town that are in non-conforming spots. And if we only give them a year to get it sold or get it back up and running, it could be a big issue.
Well, I don't think it's that we're giving it a year. I think it's in the rules.
That's why I'm bringing that up, that maybe that rule needs to be looked at again.
So just to address that concern really quick, yeah, if it's like a resumption of a non-conforming use, they can still come back. It's just that the site plan would be re-reviewed for things like that lighting that was out of compliance on Fisher Auto Parts or something like that.
Well, I think about the gas station, that would have never been allowed back. So I have I mean, that's what would you do with that property if you own it and you're trying to sell it and you can't run it and you're basically out all that money.
That makes
It's
sense.
it's a situation that hopefully we don't go through again.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that
There's a lot of properties that used to be very conforming are now
they're
non-conforming.
non-conforming. So it makes it a difficult thing if we go through a tough time and somebody closes down and is out of business, so.
Yep, okay.
Maybe the 1 year's,
I thought it was longer. I was kind of surprised it was only one. I thought it was 5 years. I thought we had made that change 10 years ago, but.
Mhm. All right, I'll look at that and I'll pass that on to the planning commission.
So.
Is there any state statutes on that?
Yeah, I should look into that too. Yep. I should look into that too. I don't know off the top of my head. But for what it's worth, that's a zoning amendment change, and the zoning amendment, that's not what I'm talking about. It's the town plan I'm talking about. The planning commission is still working on zoning amendments, so there's a lot more time for comments on that, so. And I'd really like to do a presentation for you when they do have final zoning amendments, because that directly impacts your work.
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you want to do it as part of a DRB hearing some night, like when we have a light agenda?
Sure.
Just-
Sure.
Okay.
So are there any big changes in the plan that,
In the plan,
Or is it
Not
stay
really.
pretty much like last time?
Yeah. Yep.
So we don't need to have a whole bunch of people show up and.
Yeah, it's been pretty
Pretty calm.
easy so far. Just a
Good.
lot of updates, a lot of new data.
Okay.
Terminology, any terms getting, I remember in the past, we had an issue with what the definition of a warehouse is. Are you looking at definitions at all?
Yeah, you're thinking of the zoning regulations again.
Okay.
Yeah, the town plan doesn't have definitions.
Okay.
It just goes through, it has chapters on transportation and land use and community facilities. So we updated the data, and then we updated a lot of the descriptions, you know, for the town, the municipal offices and DPW and things like that. We added a little matrix at the end, a table that has all the goals and recommendations from the end of every chapter in tabular form, so that people can detach that and use that. It's like town plan light.
Would you possibly be able to send a PDF file of that?
Yeah.
So we could look at it?
Yeah, I might send you the link to the web, it's on the town website. I'll send you the
Okay.
link.
Okay.
Because it's huge for emailing.
I'll
Would you say that it's more in alignment or has created a more glaring discrepancy with zoning?
The
The
town plan?
revision to the town? Does it?
Oh, yeah, when I
more
suggested revisions, they were totally out of whack with it. I'm just kidding. Of
No, I
course not.
mean, is the town plan moving, are the two moving together, or is the town plan moving in, you know what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm. You know, the biggest change in the town plan wasn't really content related. It was more like dialing back a lot of the specific recommendations that were in the town plan to be more conceptual in nature. So instead of saying, you know,
You have to do
we should
this.
redesign this lot in this part of town, it says we should evaluate areas of town for land use and transportation working in harmony, you know, things like that.
Did
I
you
know
take
over
out
the-
a lot of the protection for the downtown?
No,
Protection meaning that you couldn't have a business outside that was competing with the,
yeah, that's in the conditional use criteria in state statute.
Yeah.
That's always gonna be there.
I mean, in prior plans, there was a onus on Route 7
Mm-hmm.
businesses that they wanted to look differently and do things. So it was always a bit of a contentious thing for all of us that lived out on Route 7 and had business out Route 7 in the past, so.
There's a chapter in the town plan that's really heavy that way. It's the land use chapter. And it talks about all the different areas of town and what it describes them, and it talks about the character and the vision for how they're supposed to grow. And we didn't really mess with that section because I haven't really been here long enough to give good direction that way. And the planning commission felt like they needed more public input. So on their work list is to have a bunch of like visioning sessions in different parts of town, like Exchange Street, for instance, you know? I don't think anybody really understands where Exchange Street is going. There's so many divergent points of view. And Route 7's another one. Lots of different points of view, so we didn't really change the content without doing more public input, because
Okay, anything else?
I have a question. In terms of what Scott raised about lengthening that period of resumption of use, if that period has expired, regardless of how long it is, by statute or rule within Middlebury, and certain aspects of a business are non-conforming, but in ways that perhaps don't impact safety and traffic flow, say, or whatever, do we have the power then to ignore those requirements or not? Can we just, is it just setbacks and the other things we can waive within a PUD and there's something else we can waive according to the rules? Do you see what I'm getting at?
not really, do you?
I think you're asking is, does the DRB have the flexibility to waive some of the rules?
Well, outside of that resumption of use period, whatever that turns out to be.
I would say the DRB does have that right, but I'd have to look closer. Maybe your rules are specific and don't allow it, but most of the time, the DRB does, I mean, that's the reason that DRB exists, because there's a little more flexibility in interpreting the bylaws.
Because it seemed to me that these businesses that might go out of business in a future recession might be non-conforming for reasons where the resumption of the business would have far less of an impact on the town as a whole, and the impact on not complying with the regulations than certain others would. It's okay, it's hypothetical. We're never having another recession. It won't be a problem.
I have to get my head around Scott's comments before I really enter into a discussion about it. I mean, you've also got other things in your zoning. You can switch one non-conforming use for another non-conforming use, as long as the new one isn't worse than the old one. How's that for?
Maybe we can
Wild.
discuss some of these issues on another
ambiguous.
evening in executive session when we don't have an issue before us.
You have to be really careful that you're not starting to perform the role of a planning commission too. I mean, this is a planning commission discussion probably, and then I think that's a good comment, and I want to bring that to them and have them think about that, and I want to think about that too. But then I think they should make some decisions and put a proposal together to the select board, and then I'll bring it back to get your input on it too, and then we could talk about it then. But I don't want to do too much pontificating about it before they take a crack at it.
Right. It just seems to me something that I don't understand at this point. And if we have an application like that, we've worked through Mr. Neary's application, but if we have another application similar to that with different issues, I'm not entirely clear on what our powers are there.
One specific thing I can think of is the motel that burned. That's now in agricultural residential. Used to be PhD, but it got changed a plan or two ago in the zoning. But you know, technically, he's now non-conforming. He's got a burned-up building. Is he going to come back and rebuild? We don't know yet. What happens to that land? Let's say he doesn't do anything, finally gets cleaned up, done, and somebody buys the property and wants to resume something there. Is it done? I mean, is that the end of it?
I don't remember what the rule says. If it says after you have something that can be termed a discontinued use because it's timed out, if it has to come back in for a whole conditional use review. If so, you're evaluating the use as well as the
But if it's
site.
in a site, it's now agricultural residential, then
But there are
is that,
other uses within agricultural residential that we can approve conditionally.
But Scott's general point is a good one, that we don't want to disqualify somebody because the business suffers a disaster, or, I mean, I would think the planning commission wouldn't. That's all we should ask them. Because we should ask them if
I
that's
mean,
their intention.
I'm not saying that place has to stay a motel. I mean, maybe
No,
it can.
that's a good
but
example.
Maybe, maybe we need another motel, and, we're down one now, and we had one, it's not there, but it takes 2 years to get it figured out. Years gone by, it's not resumed. I don't
What's
know.
been your experience on
What, rebuilding?
this? He had field sports burned.
But that got put up within a year.
Yes, that got put up right on.
So that wasn't a delay. I don't know have anybody heard anything what's going on down there with the motel?
At the motel?
Is he planning to build it again? Or, I mean, that was the original thing in the paper, was that he was
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard anything about that motel. No, sorry, I had different motels in my mind.
Did you have a chance to check on Don's point about the neon lights
The neon lights?
in the signs after business hours?
Yeah, we noted it in minutes. I don't know, there is reference to specific types of lighted signs in the bylaws. It doesn't expressly prohibit neon signs. what it does is strobe type, flashing type lights, those kind of things. I'm not sure, when I quickly looked at it, I'm not sure that it expressly prohibited a neon sign. And I've tried to be aware of that sign, and I haven't actually had a chance to see it, so.
One other question, as a follow-up, David Joy, any feedback from him after our decision on his property?
Yeah. Trying to get all my timing right. I've had so many visits from him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess he has visited a couple times since, oh yeah, yep, a couple times since your decision. And, you know, he just continues to contend that it's not fair and that it's a financial hardship for him, but I haven't heard from him.
Out on Boyer Road,
Mhm.
Road 18.
Yep.
Road 18. Yeah.
And then it's a financial hardship and all the other reasons that he gave you in the hearing for why he didn't think it should be upheld, so. Yep, it's a tough thing. I think there's other people in the same boat, but
Any other business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved and seconded by two people. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We're all done, Kathy.